The Introduction to Sanskrit course was designed for yoga practitioners and yoga teachers. It's a course that gives students an opportunity to ground in what is sound as a yoga practice, and specifically how Sanskrit relates with all the practices of yoga. All the teachings written down on the subject of yoga throughout the years were originally laid down in Sanskrit. So knowing something of Sanskrit helps us ground more deeply in the philosophical aspects of the teachings. Sanskrit is the original language of 3 religions and 1 philosophy. The original language of Hinduism, Jainism, and Buddhism. But for our purposes, we focus primarily on how it is the language of yoga, which is a philosophy. According to Shri Brahmananda Saraswati, yoga is the experience of wholeness. So we take a look at how the language Sanskrit helps us ground in the experience of wholeness or totality. The language originally the word Sanskrit means perfect or whole. So we take a look at how sound, grammar, etymology can become a doorway for the students to understand that wholeness through language. Everything's a language. We're looking at each other right now, that's a language. And buildings have a language, and cultures have keys and symbols and languages. And so we take a look at not only the Sanskrit language, but it becomes a doorway for what is language overall. So the focus of the Introduction to Sanskrit course is on the mouth positions. If the student understands the mouth positions, they understand how to ground in the sound. So this is the first step for students. And we begin by taking a look at the 5 mouth positions on the palate of any student and how we produce sound from those places. The great yogis of old realized these positions and therefore a whole host of sounds from these positions. For example, we have the sound "a." Now I tell students, feel on your palate at the back of your throat the sound "a." And what you want to do is feel the energy, the jaw drops down, and you can begin to connect with the energetic wave as it drops down into your body and then rises again through the throat, which is the seat of communication, into the crown of the head. So we say "a." We also work with students to help them develop the way sound moves on the palate through Sanskrit. In other words, I kind of tell them, get your Sanskrit on. When you go to France, you have to get your French on. If you go to Russia, you have to get your Russian on. And if you're going to go and pronounce the different names of the asanas or the chants, you have to, in effect, get your Sanskrit on. So we work with the students in this way. And one of my best tips for working with yoga practitioners, especially those who want to bring the different asanas and pronounce the different asanas in their class, I tell them, go slowly. The common factor that I notice in the various yoga classes is that the teachers try to say the different asana names much too quickly. So I tell them, work with saying the sounds much slower than you realize. For example, Tardasana. Most people say Tadasana really quickly. And that creates a problem because they are not able to ground in the different mouth positions. So instead of thinking that we want to say the sound quickly, why not actually savor this sound as if we're savoring a pose, as if we're moving through sound as though it is itself a pose. Tardasana. Tardasana. And by grounding in the mouth positions, we really understand the pronunciation, and then we're also, the yoga practitioner starts to feel a tremendous amount of confidence in the pronunciation, and they really do very well in the classes. So that's the focus to the Introduction to Sanskrit workshop. I look forward to seeing you in the class soon.